In this video, we're going to be looking at the quickest and best path to making 10K per month in 2023. My name is Dylan Power and I'm a 26-year-old entrepreneur. I run a group of marketing agencies and an investment fund that actually buys other marketing agencies. Now that might sound extremely pompous, but as this video is about making money, I think it's important for you to understand that I actually know what I'm talking about. As I said, I'm 26 years old and I've been running my businesses for the last 4 years. Today, I'm building a marketing group via acquisition and I plan to sell this group to private equity for 8 figures before I'm 30. For anyone who's slightly confused by what that means, I started my own digital marketing agency 3 years ago. And with the profits from that agency, I'm buying agencies in web design, PR, branding, and folding them into the one group. That could be a long video all on its own, and it probably will be very soon. Anyway, hopefully that gives you some context and builds a little bit of rapport between us. And it gives you the confidence that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to getting to 10K per month. And just before we get into the video, I won't be just focusing on one option. I'll be looking at various different avenues so we can really assess the landscape. This will be so you can look at the various different routes and maybe there's an option you hadn't even considered before. Of course, there will be an option I recommend, but we'll get into more of that later. So let's get into it. Let's start with the most simple opportunity there is out there. If you look at somewhere like Tesco here in the UK, which is a supermarket chain, or even somewhere like Target in the US, I guess would be a good comparable. Let's say you were packing shelves at somewhere like Target or Tesco here in the UK. The average wage there will be $12 or £12 per hour. If you're working 5 days per week and 52 weeks in the year, that's an average salary roughly of about £20,000 per year, or roughly £1,600 per month. If we divide that into our goal of 10K per month, it's roughly around 16%, so we're quite the way off. The other point to consider is when you're working in a job like Tesco or any supermarket, someone else is in charge of your time, which is definitely not what we want. A huge part of hitting 10K per month isn't just the financial freedom. It's your time freedom as well. You don't want to be pinned to the one location forever. Now, I'm certainly not having a go at anyone who works in a supermarket like Tesco or Target. I've worked in these places myself when I was younger. Society absolutely needs people who work these jobs. And it's not as if they come without their benefits. If you're working in a supermarket, you get that job security and that steady income every single week. But while in this role, you're not going to get to 10K per month, and that's just a fact. So let's say you really value job security, but you wanted to earn a little bit more. Becoming an entrepreneur or running your own business doesn't really appeal to you. You want something a little bit more stable, but again, in that higher income bracket. And to do this, in my opinion, you will need to learn a skill. Let's look at something like sales, for example. Sales is something you can learn and get really, really good at very quickly, and it's also very lucrative. You won't have to start your own business or deal with the pressures of becoming an entrepreneur. However, you can still earn very good money. A decent sales representative role here in the UK could earn you anywhere from 60 to 80K per year. On a monthly basis, that's around 6,600, which is pretty good money wherever you are in the world. Again, bringing it back to our goal of 10K per month, if we divide that in, that's 66%. So we're getting closer. But again, as it's a job, we have absolutely no freedom to work with. You will still be stuck in a role making someone else rich. Yes, it has its pluses. You will have no responsibility. At the end of the day, you can go home to your house and not worry about that job. But your boss ultimately controls your time, where you have to be and when. So let's look at a third example where you can actually earn a lot of money whilst working a job. Let's say you train to be a doctor. And for the purpose of this video, let's forget about the hundreds of thousands of dollars it costs in America to become a doctor. The average salary of a doctor in the US is $150,000 to $200,000. Now, by anyone's metric, this is a huge salary. Let's divide $200,000 per year by 12 to get our monthly salary. Give or take, you're going to be on around $16,000 before tax. So we've did it. We've hit $10,000. We've got a great job. We've got the respect of our family and peers. The future looks bright. Well, wrong actually, because you're still working for someone else. And if you're a doctor, you're going to be worked off your feet. You're going to be working ridiculous hours and you're going to have next to no time to spend that money. This is why, despite sounding like a great option, I think this is actually a terrible option. So what's the next step? Where do we go from here? I believe the next option is entrepreneurship. This is where we put in the work at the start and build something that pays us back over time. But also, our time isn't controlled by someone. We don't need to be in the same place at all times. So entrepreneurship is quite a vague term. I'm going to give you a bit of context on my journey in entrepreneurship and how I started. My first venture into entrepreneurship was through Amazon FBA. I was still in college, but I was itching to start my own business. I seen a YouTube video on FBA and I was hooked immediately. Seemed like a great entry-level business as Amazon Amazon did a lot of the heavy lifting for you. I decided to go for a nutrition product, which was vitamin gummies. I remember being so excited. I could not believe that this product was mine. However, a huge problem I ran into in the early days was shipping. It took 6 months to get my first batch of products to the UK, and by that time, the market had been completely saturated, and I missed out on a ton of sales. Anyway, I launched my product and I did get some sales. I would say my best month was around $2,000–3,000, which wasn't too bad all in all. It took me around 5 hours per week to run that business, and I enjoyed it at the start, but it certainly wasn't going to build the life of my dreams, so I quickly went back to the drawing board. I liked the business model of Amazon FBA. I thought it was really cool that Amazon shipped your products for you. However, they killed you with the fees. Your profit margins were just far too low. So I thought to myself, why not skip out Amazon and start my own e-com store? From what I learned on Amazon, selling low ticket products really lowered your profit margins. So I decided to pivot to high ticket items. I did a lot of research and finally decided on electric scooters. I built a website, bought some stock, and we were off to the races again. Any money I had was going straight into ad spend. As opposed to Amazon FBA, this was more like 10 hours per week because it was much more hands-on. There was a bit of work involved, I'll not lie. Things like dealing with suppliers, logistics, managing refunds, managing social media. It was a serious operation. In a good month, we do maybe 3 or 4K in revenue. So a little bit better than my first venture in FBA. However, this time the profit margins were much higher. However, the big issue here was scalability. I knew in order to start making some real money, I had to pump serious money into ad spend, and I just didn't have it at that time. At that stage, I was still in college and I had worked out that I would need about $10,000 in order to give this a serious run. That's when a friend of mine mentioned, had I ever heard of SMMA? He had actually seen how I was doing social media for my 2 e-com brands, and he thought I would have a knack for it. We had a chat and he recommended that I take all my knowledge of marketing and sell it to other businesses rather than pushing my own e-com brands. I knew nothing about SMMA at the time, but I started researching the topic to see what I could find, and I literally must have watched every YouTube video that was available. Long story short, within 3 months, I was doing £17,000 in revenue for my marketing agency. My previous video goes through my journey in much more detail, so check that out. But back to my marketing agency. This is where I would run marketing for brands, and I would do a lot of the service delivery myself. So my profit margins were very high. If I did a $10,000 month, my profit margins would be around the 8–9,000 mark, which is incredibly high when compared to FBA or my other e-com store. I would say a minimum, as I touched on earlier, you're gonna wanna have around 5 to 10K in the bank to really push e-com hard. And even then, it's quite a tough task. With the agency model, there's so little startup costs. All you need is a laptop and an outreach strategy, many of which you can get on YouTube for free. You book calls with people who want to improve their marketing, and then you offer Facebook or Google ads. Or like I did at the start, help them with their social media management, which entails creating content. So again, let's bring this back to our goal of 10K per month and see how this fits in. At the start, as you've no experience, I'd say the average client retainer is around $1,000. For the purpose of this video, let's say in 1 month, you upsell 2 clients on higher retainers. Let's say you upsell them on social media management and Facebook ads. This would mean you can close them on a higher retainer of say $2,500 because you're offering more services. So those 2 clients alone will be worth $5,000. So we would just need another 5,000 to get to that elusive 10K mark. And we could do this by landing 5 clients at that average retainer of $1,000. So that's 7 clients in total we would need to land in order to get to $10,000 per month. So how would we do this? Well, first and foremost, you can do it from anywhere in the world because all you need is an internet connection and a laptop. You can pretty much run your agency from anywhere. It involves booking meetings with clients and then hopping on a call and selling them your services as discussed before. You'll have to hop on meetings with clients, but this can be done from anywhere in the world. Another thing you'll have to watch out for is time zones. You'll be dealing with people all across the world, but this is a small price to pay for the freedom it will give you. When it comes to the actual work, you've got 2 options. Option 1 is doing the work yourself. For 7 clients paying you 10K per month, this will take about 25 hours to 30 hours per week, which isn't a huge amount, but it's certainly a commitment. Or there's option 2, and what I'd recommend, build a team. This will mean your profit margins will go down, but it will give you the freedom to literally do whatever it is you want. You could travel the world while your business runs on autopilot. Now, needless to say, you're probably thinking this sounds great, but it's probably a lot easier said than done. Whilst that is somewhat true, I can guarantee you that starting an agency and getting to 10K per month is by far the best and most rewarding avenue you can take. Things like FBA and dropshipping can take a huge amount of capital up front, and they're quite intense to manage. For the work you'll be putting in, the reward will be very low. The agency business model is what allowed me to get to 10K in less than 60 days, and I promise you it can change your life. But to circle everything back and to summarize, if you want job security and stability and entrepreneurship is completely unappealing to you, maybe something like working in Target and Tesco could be the option for you. Maybe the pressure of starting your business is too much and you want something safer. If you like the sound of that, but the salary is too low and you want to push the boat out a little bit more, a sales job could be something to look at, as discussed. You'll still have a boss, but the ceiling is much higher in terms of what you can earn. Or maybe you want to take it up one more level and go for a career in medicine. As we discussed, this will be financially rewarding, but you will have no time to spend that money. Or there's the agency route, as discussed. If you want more information on that, look at my last video on my journey and how I got to £17,000 in 3 months. I can confidently say this is your best option because I've actually gone out there and done it myself. So my opinion on the best and quickest way to get to 10K per month is the agency route, albeit that it may be biased. After all, every company in the world needs marketing. Why can't you be the one that drives a business forward? If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. For anyone tempted to take the agency route and start their own business today, I have a full free 5-day email course on how you can land your first clients. If you're interested in trying that out, check the link in my bio. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.